You may have heard this story before. Once upon a time, there was a tortoise and a hare. Now, the hare was kind of annoying. He went around and was boasting about how fast he was and how clever he was all the time. And the tortoise was getting kind of annoyed by all of this. And so he said, let's have a race. And they determined where they were going to end, and off they went. And then the hare, being so far ahead, got distracted. You know, I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly what happened, but some say he took a nap. Some say that the hare stopped and visited a friend. I always kind of imagine it like Winnie the Pooh stopping by for a little something, a little smackerel. And then, of course, you know what happens. The hare all of a sudden realizes that he's in a race, and he tries to catch up, and the tortoise wins the race. And you've all heard that story before, right?
I haven't.
You haven't? Well, good. I'm glad that I told the story and didn't just make an assumption. You know what they do, what that does. But today's talk is about the tortoise and the hare. It's not what you think. Or maybe you've thought about it in some other ways, because we are told the story to emphasize that sticking to it and slow and steady wins the race, right? That's what the story is supposed to mean. And being kind of flighty or whatever we see the hare as is a bad, quote-unquote, trait. So I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like, you know, what if that's just one way to see the story, right? Because, so here's a couple of other ways to see the story. What if the hare said, well, okay, fine, I'll be in your race, and then he realized, it's not really where I want to go. What if the hare decided that stopping and visiting his friends was more important to him? Or decided that was not the goal that they want. Now, see, I know most of you have had a story like this in your own life where maybe society or your family or whatever has said that this is the particular goal that you're supposed to want. Whatever that is, you're supposed to conform to that. So the story of the tortoise and the hare in many ways is about just like you move towards that. That's what you're supposed to want. Well, maybe the story of the tortoise and the hare is about the hare saying, you know, that's not what I want. I don't want that. I don't want to fit into your conformity of moving along to that. So maybe that's what the story is about. Maybe that's a reminder to you to do your own thing. Society's goals are not necessarily our goals. Maybe the story is about being present. You know, when you are hyper-focused on a particular goal, like the tortoise, right? Just doing my thing, right? You sort of miss all the other stuff that's going on around you. And sometimes that's what you need to do if you're trying to finish a report or do something like that. You need to stay hyper-focused. But is that how we should live our whole lives? You know, there's a kind of societal norm that's what we should be doing and just staying focused on this one thing. But we kind of miss they also say stop and smell the flowers, right? What if we need to do a little more stopping and smelling the flowers? And that's what's really fun about living here and having visitors. And even when you don't have visitors, you know, it's okay to be like, ooh, that looks pretty. Let's pull over and look at it. At least I do that still. You all do that? Stop and, yes. You gotta stop and look at the thing. Whatever the thing is, even if you've stopped and looked at the thing before. Because maybe that's what the story is about, is remembering that being present in the moment is more important than staying hyper-focused on a particular thing. Maybe. And maybe taking a nap But that's what the Hare did. Like I said, it wasn't there. Maybe taking a nap is the best way to take care of oneself. We can't always, we're not machines. We can't always be going full steam. We have to stop and take a nap. Whether that's literally taking a nap or figuratively taking a nap. I have several colleagues, friends, who when we were all in ministerial school, I had several friends who had they had some health stuff come up. And to the point where pretty much all that they had the energy for was to go to class and get through their homework and take care of the basic chores of life, the errands and things like that. And that was it. They didn't come for a period of time that they were dealing with this health thing to the social activities or the extra things or the, say, hey, let's go do whatever. They just didn't have the energy for that. And they knew that. And that was a conscious choice to say, well, it would be fun to do those things. But I know myself enough to know that that's not what's mine to do. And so sometimes we might feel like we have to do this or that or the other thing, but sometimes taking a nap is the right thing. Literally or figuratively. I'm a big fan of naps, especially Sunday afternoon naps. It's a minister thing, that's what we do. So I was reading this book I got at the library about sea otters and how, they pretty much got wiped out during the fur trade, and then they've come back really well, especially here in Alaska. But in California, while sea otters were wiped out, the fishing industry really took off, and then those people who were doing fishing for the abalones and things like that, when the otters started to come back, they got mad at the otters for taking away their stuff, even though, of course, the fisher people were taking way more stuff, right? That's a whole other story. And because, the sea otters have been living in balance with the environment for, a really, really long time. But I'm sure it was the sea otters' fault. So anyway, so down in California, the idea was that they're like, okay, we're going to take this whole group of sea otters, so they can live here on this part of the coast, but we're going to take this group of sea otters and we're going to move them over to this area over here, so we're going to have a sea otter free zone where we're going to fish, and then the sea otters are going to stay over here. Right, you can see where this is going, right? And the sea otters obviously didn't get the memo, because they do what they want. And so, they put them out on this island, and the sea otters just came right back. And they tried to put them out on the island, and the sea otters just, they just went where they wanted to do what they want. And so it made me, I was reading the book, and I was thinking about this, and I was like, that's sort of like that idea that, we don't have to conform to, what people or society or our family or whoever it is wants us to do, or what they think that is the right thing for us to do. The sea otters knew where the best place for them to be was. And so there they went. That little island or whatever, they decided wasn't the right place for them to be. For whatever reason. They're pretty clever little critters. They know what they're doing. They're not even that little, but they're pretty clever. So, one of the things we talk about is, we talk about unmet needs, right? Because often when we do stuff, when we react in a certain way, when we do behave in a certain thing, or we say a certain thing, it's because we have an unmet need. If we respond loudly to a stimulus. It could be because we're not feeling safe. Just an example. We have an unmet need of safety. So I also was looking at this. I'm like, so what is the unmet need of Tortoise at the beginning when Hare is, going around and saying all this stuff about how great Hare is? What's Tortoise unmet need? Peace, maybe. Equanimity, respect. Because Hare obviously can't see that both of them have their own talents and skills. It's an interesting thing. So what's the unmet need here? When things are happening, what's the unmet need? What was Hare's unmet need at the beginning? Why was Hare needing to run around and be like, hey, I'm so great, hey, I'm so great, hey, I'm so great? What do you think his unmet need was? Understanding, connection, friendship. Sometimes we act out in really weird ways when all we really want is just someone to be connected to us, right? Which is funny because a lot of times the ways that we behave to get people to pay attention to us are the ways that cause more trouble. But that's a whole nother story. So the story of Tortoise and the Hare, it just, I don't know why, but I was like, this is a fun little thing to talk about because there's so many great little things in here because slow and steady does win the race. And maybe it is a race you want to win, if you're going towards a goal, like a project you're trying to finish, or a school project you're trying to work on, or whatever, you just keep on working at it, and that's good, as long as you chose that's what you want to do. Or, if you're trying to, finish high school or something, you probably have to do things you don't want to do. Sorry. But the whole idea is that when we get tuned into ourselves, so we take the time for prayer and meditation, we take the time to wonder, why am I reacting a certain way, or what is the need that we're looking for here? We can change from just being like, oh yeah, I want to be like the tortoise, saying, well, do I want to be like the tortoise? And what part of my life am I like? Do I want to stop and visit with my friends and have tea, or have a poo moment and have a smackerel of honey? You didn't even know I was going to say that when you wore your piglet jacket today, did you? Do you want to, so these are the kind of things, I can't give you the answers to, but these are the kind of questions that we ask ourselves. What is the best thing to do? What is mine to do? What is important to me? Is it winning the race? Maybe it is. Maybe that is what's important to you. That's great. Maybe it's taking a nap. Maybe it's saying, well, I have so many creative endeavors that I'm trying to follow that I couldn't, maybe I'll do this one for a bit and then I get tired of that and I'll go over here and do this one, or maybe there's another one to do. That's okay too, we can grow in lots of different ways. The whole idea is that we have to be ourselves and not what anyone else is trying to tell us or has told us that we should be. Just be ourselves. So that, to me, is what the real story of what the Tortoise and the Hare is really about, is to follow your own bliss instead of somebody else's.